quick update on the Gosselin's D-Day group build. I have managed to clean up the road wheels and build road wheel assemblies. These are not glued; they are just fitted, so I can pose them on the terrain. The reason why I haven't yet glued the suspension arms into the hull is that we do have a bit of play, fortunately, with these wheels, and I'll use it so that the tank conforms exactly to the area of the terrain I'm going to place it in. The reason is that it's not a regular terrain. It does have a few small variations on the mini art terrain, so I'm going to try and pose it the best way I can. And for this, I will most likely just pose the suspension arms mounted with a bit of blue tack near the suspension arms, and I will most likely do a little hole, make a little hole here, and then just add a drop of to me extra thin, so that they once they're posed, and then just leave it to set, and then once they're set and glued, I will retrieve these wheels and I'll have it posed. Then I'm going to add the tracks and start the construction of the upper hull. So, nothing done on the upper hull, as you can see. The turret is the same way. I just wanted to point out the fact that I've only built one other Dragon kit, and that one was riddled with fit issues. Now, up to now, I haven't had a single fit issue with this kit. It's marvelously done. At the point, I mean, you have to take into account that I haven't gone too far in the build, but this is very, very well fitted. It just fits perfectly. It just sits there, and I can say exactly the same for the hull. The hull just fits very, very snugly. Of course, it doesn't have yet the back plate, so it's not going to sit, as perfectly as it will once it's placed. Once the back plate is placed there. But I have some really good feedback about this kit. I have done the sprockets, the idlers, prepared the hubcaps for the wheels, and also started some work on the back plate. Have the jack assembly done and prepared these. I think these are for the tow cables for when the tank. I think they are used to with the cables, with the tow cables. I'm not sure about that, so if anyone knows, just teach me, please. One thing I'm going to do to this kit, and I already have done a bit of in this back plate, is I'm going to add some battle damage to the Zimrit. What that means is I'm going to chisel off bits of the Zimrit, and I can't show you this very well for now, but I hope the camera gets this. You can see that I've chiseled off bits and pieces here and there, so I can give it, a battered look and a used look. I don't want this tank to be too clean. I am thinking about even, leaving a bit of some of the tools off, just, leaving the brackets open if possible, the tow cables off place, you know, starting in the right place and then, you know, just sitting on top of the hull or something. I want to give the impression of a rush into combat, of a need to get there in time and not, you know, not spending too much time tidying everything up. I've done this damage with a very nice set of tools I have, which is, I think it's some sort of micro chisel. They're not, you know, micro mark chisels, but these do the very good job of chiseling off these portions of the Zimmerit, as you can see here, I hope. And for now, that's the plan, and that's how far I got with the Tiger. Another thing I want to talk about is that I'm going to stop this build for now. I mean, not stop, you know, completely, but I'm waiting on a few goodies, some aftermarket. I have ordered a set of new figures and a set of photo etch fenders. The reason being is that I want to, you know, take bits off these fenders, and the original ones, which come in one piece and are very nice molding, by the way. They're very good. But I thought about, you know, just cutting them. But as I'm going to show you, I think they are still quite thick. And because they are still quite thick, I'm quite, and you know, I really want to add some extra battle damage to these, and you know, I want to dent them. I want to maybe pierce one or the other, just to give that appearance of a vehicle that was used in combat and survived. So I want to add this more of a random look to the vehicle, which I hope to achieve with these little bits here and there of these not so tidy parts of the vehicle. I mean, I want to have it look as if they were always in a rush. They had minimum maintenance done to the vehicle, and they had to, you know, rush to the front of the battle. Defense must go on. Counterattacks, orders coming down the chain of command all the time, moving along, and all that. Okay, so that was for the King Tiger. As for the diorama, well, this is something new for me, so I'm going to take my time with this. I don't want to rush this, because I do not want to have this blowing up in my hands, so to speak. So I've finished cleaning most of the parts, and I can tell you this is a cheap kit, no doubt. It's a good kit, no doubt there. Wonderful detail, also no questions asked. But it is a laborious task to clean all of these parts and to send them down to a point that we can use them. And in the end, they will always have certain things that need to be fixed, and you know, I'll have to fix them. In the end, it will look good, but it takes a lot of work. You really need to put your elbow into this. It took me about 2 hours, I believe, to clean the main parts. And I can tell you that I have followed their advice on their website, on Mini Art's website. And by the way, you go there if you have one of these, go there, because they have very simple tutorials, but really they teach you how to deal with this. And this is not to me not a common medium, you know, vacuum formed or whatever this is. It's not a common medium, but I took their advice, and that's the reason why I think things worked out so well. Although I did take 2 hours to clean the parts, and I used what they told me to, what they teach people to use, which is one of these. I don't know what the name of this is, but I've used one of these mostly for the irregular parts. Although I think I use them all over, but the irregular parts are the ones who benefit the most with this tool. And the reason is, if you scratch near these parts long enough, you'll have them separate from the main plastic base or sheet, and easier than with the usual hobby knife. So I used the hobby knife just to get into the real small bits here and there, but I can tell you this, you have to be careful with this, because this is a really delicate thing, and very easily, and that happened to me in one of the pieces, very easily you can get into the parts that you really don't want to get into. So having said that, I do think this is going to look good. Still have plenty of work ahead of me. I do like the way this is shaping up, but I still have a lot of work ahead of me. So I would advise this to a modeler with some experience. I don't think this is for beginners, really. This is a frustrating job for beginners. I have a blister on my finger of using these tools, because it does require some strength. You need to do this in with quite some strength. And I can show you a bit here. These are mostly cleaned. As I can show you here. I had to fix this because I did get into it with the hobby knife, but I can show you in a window, for example, how this works. You have it in their site, but just in case, first you start off scratching with this tool, and you do scratch a lot. I advise you to scratch it almost to the point of separation, if not to the point of separation. And this will make your life easier in the long run, because if you go in with a hobby knife, you won't have the precision to do a straight cut just like that in a recess like this window. So it's far better to go in with this spike tool. I don't know the name of this, needle spike. You tell me, please, because I don't know the name. And you go in, you place it near the corner or the recess. It's not a corner, it's the opposite. But it's you just scratch until you feel that giving, the plastic giving up. So what you do then, you can see here, you have the plastic starting to whiten and be apart from the window, from the rest of the part. I'm sorry, today I'm really on one of my best English speaking days. Then what I do, I go in with a very low amount of strength. I just want to, just nudge the pre-cut. Just, just cutting it loose, nothing more. You don't need to really cut hard. And I just loosen up the part from the interior of the plastic sheet. And you should end up with the Oh, not really. No, still need to go into the corners a bit more. You know, it's just, it makes it easier. Trust me, I've tried this with just the hobby knife. It wasn't very good results. So I think I'm going to always use these. So you can see here it's loosening up already. This is what we want. Now what I need is for a last cut here, and as you can see it immediately pops off and you have your part cleaned. So you can go online and, you know, check all of these videos, but I thought you'd like to know or see how it works firsthand. So another thing I would advise is to wash all these parts once they're cleaned. These ones I've already used a sheet of sandpaper, this one here. And what I do, this is sandpaper that uses water, because this does make a lot of dust, you know, plastic dust. So what I do is add some water, then I go and I sand this way, taking care not to make, you know, take too much out of it, until they fit, till these parts fit their respective place on the diorama. Once they fit there, sorry about that, once they fit here, I stop. So this is also a very laborious part of the process, but it is extremely important. You need this. I'm using quite a coarse grit here. I'm using a P180. This is, like I said, it's a sandpaper that you use with water, and it works just fine. Another thing I want to talk about is about the terrain itself. Now, I was struck by the gap that is left in the middle of these two parts. So I thought, how am I going to solve this? And the way I thought about it was cutting this part open. This one too, I haven't done yet, but I will do that. I will cut this open too. And then I will turn them around, add a bit of plastic card here, 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 and here, and glue them together. And the reason I'm going to do this is to reinforce it, because this is not a very, how should I say this? Isn't solid, so kind of gives. I don't want that. You know, once this is painted, if you press into it, you might have, you know, run the risk of, you know, loosening parts, paint chipping off, all that. So I want this to be as seamless as possible. I know I'll have to go there with a filler, which I will do, but I want to do that kind of as best as seamline as I can. And another thing I'm going to use to prepare this part is something I bought. I'm going to try this out. I'm not sure this is the best way to go, but I'm going to try this out. I bought a filler, a very lightweight filler, which is exactly that. It's for the walls, for big holes, but it also dries, according to the instructions, it also dries without any give. I mean, it does not recess once it's dried. And it is very lightweight. I mean, this here weighs, I don't know, 100 grams, 150 grams. It's really lightweight. As you can see, this is a kind of filler that I think will behave perfectly for this job. So I'll fill this, and then once it's dried and glued and all ready, then I'll add it to this, wait a second, to this MDF base I've got. And it should be somewhat like this. At first I thought about raising this diorama a bit with a bit of balsa wood, some styrofoam, but I'm not going to do that. And I'm not going to do that because, as you can see, this is already going to be very much tall diorama. So I want it to fit into my shelves. So I don't want it to be too tall, not this one. I want it to be a little, well, not too tall. I do like it like this. I don't think there's a need for increasing its size, its height, I'm sorry. And I want to show you something. I know in the previous videos I've said that I'm going to maybe add another vehicle. But after placing the wheels and the fenders, this tank is going to be quite thicker. So initially I thought of having it placed here, and then all the action would go around here. But now I've you know, thought about it, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to place it a bit in the middle, more towards the middle of the diorama. The action will still be going here because I've ordered a set of soldiers that are stacking up and ready to go into action. So the action will be here, and it's like they're just arrived and there's shooting going on and they're getting ready to get into battle. So I'll add other things to the diorama, but probably not another vehicle. I'm not sure yet. I might change my mind like I'm telling you every video. I might change my mind, but for now, this is how it stands, and this is what I'm intending to do with it. So this was the update for the Russell Gosselin's group build, D-Day group build, I mean. And well, I hope you like it. Right, guys, so Mark was asking about this 48th King Tiger I have. This is an older build. Back when I started modeling again, I did a few 1/35th scale models, but they were, should I say, a bit frustrating. And although it's my favorite scale, I thought, you know, I'll buy something smaller and maybe easier, or at least with it allows me to with my limited amount of time to build and enjoy the build as much as I can. So I bought these 1/48 scale models. The reason being 1/48 being that I don't like 1/72 scale for armor. I think airplanes or aircraft it's okay, but for 1/72 for armor, to me, I don't like to build them. Maybe it's because I just don't have the finesse and ability to do them, so to build them. So I opted for these 1/48 scale, which are, in my understanding, a really nice compromise of detail, quality, and time they take to build. Should I say this? How long you take to build them? So I did a few dioramas with these 1/48 scale. They're all Tamiya. Everything here is Tamiya except for these dragon teeth and the Zimrit, which I applied. Sadly, Tamiya does not, or did not back then provide any Zimrit for this model. And by the way, all Porsche turret King Tigers had Zimrit. At least that's what I have in my references. So I had to add the Zimrit myself. So I added the Zimrit with a couple of tools. I don't know if I have them here. I have one of them. So I have a roller from AFV model, and the roller with the roller I did most of it, but in these bits here, like the gun mantlet, I had to use a small screwdriver and, you know, bit by bit, just, you know, tap in the Zimrit. So guys, this is my 1/48 scale King Tiger at a German checkpoint diorama. I'm going to slowly spin this around in order for you to get a more detailed look. The idea behind this diorama would be that King Tiger is stopped in a German checkpoint, you know, like Siegfried Line or something, and they're getting their orders from the dispatch. And while they're outside the tank, we have a crew member and a tank commander, and we also have a squad or a patrol or something on their way to combat, or on their way to their unit. And we also have this military policeman, I think, that is like telling them, you know, go this way, go that way. This is just, you know, there's not a big story behind this one. This is just an exercise I wanted to make and see if I could do and what I could do with it. And it was quite a challenge because I'm not a figure painter. I do like to paint them as well as I can, and I do use their techniques from the finger painters, but I don't use they use like, I don't know, 8 to 15 shades or steps to every color. I don't. I use 4 or 5 at the most. I do use the same methods. I do use a wet palette. I do use you know, building up the tones and the steps and the shades till you get to the right point. I do paint with the zenithal light kind of painting. And that's what I do. I do that because I think these figures, and the figures I usually use, are so bad because they are, you know, plastic figures from Tamiya. We all know what Tamiya does with figures. Some are good, but some are really bad. And these were from a couple of sets of Tamiya, and one was really old and another was really recent, or at least more than the other. And the recent one had pretty nice figures, reasonable detail, nice poses. But the older one, now that's a different story. The boots were clumps, and, you know, all the usual things. So I didn't want to spend any more money. I was starting up the hobby again, so this is what I did. I did the best with what I had. Not much, you know. It's not fancy or anything. It's just simple diorama with, you know, with a simple situation that I did as an exercise and training, basically, as training. So that's it, guys. Hope to see you in the next video. Bye.